Hey and welcome to episode 8 of Dragon Age Origins. Last time I left off, we entered here into the camp and we talked a bit with Alistair over here about Duncan's passing and how hard or like how much he was grieving about it, but also we asked some questions about him almost becoming a Templar and about the Grey Wardens. We had some questions about that and how it works exactly together with like the Blight and all of that. And then we also talked with Stan over here, but he doesn't look like he's much of a talker because he was very short on his answers. He didn't really want to talk a whole lot and just wanted to move on and get this over with in a way. And last time I said I would go talk with Levi here and Sandal and Bodan. And I also want to talk with Morrigan and Liliana and see how everyone is doing here in the camp. So let's go to Levi first.
You're a hard woman to find. Where are my manners? The name is Levi Dryden. Did Duncan ever mention me? Levi of the Coins? Levi the Trader?
I'm Amethyst. I've never heard of you.
Really? He never told you of old Levi? We've known each other for years. But here I am carrying on while you have a blight to stop. Don't want to waste your time. But you see, Duncan promised that together we'd look into something important for the Wardens. And for me. But poor Duncan's... well, no more. A tragedy it is, at that. But I know he would want his work carried on. His pledge fulfilled.
What promise did Duncan make to you?
My family, well, past a bit checkered to see. Nobles look at us with disdain. My great-great-grandmother, Sophia Dryden, was the last warden commander of Ferelden back when the wardens were known as freeloaders. So King Arland banished the wardens and he took House Dryden's land and titles.
What happened next?
Hard to say. After King Arland died, there was a civil war, loads worse than this one, and our family was on the run, hunted by enemies, with nary a friend in the world. But Drydens are tough. We rebuilt, became merchants, and we never lost our pride.
So what favor did you ask of Duncan?
I asked for the truth. My family reveres Sophia Dryden. We know she died at the old Grey Warden base, Soldier's Peak. We want evidence to clear her name. It won't restore our land or our titles, but it'll restore our honour.
I've never even heard of Soldier's Peak.
Well, no one's been to Soldier's Peak since Arland's days. At least none that's come back. I spent years mapping the maze of tunnels to the peak, and I found the way a few years back. So I went to Duncan, I did, and I said that he could reclaim the old base and my family could have its honour.
How will reclaiming the peak help the Wardens?
Soldier's Peak is strategic and symbolic importance. Duncan said that it would be worth it right there. He also hoped to recover lost Warden history and perhaps a few old relics. No one knows what's up there now.
Why didn't Duncan help you?
Darkspawn surfaced in southern Ferelden, and Duncan got plenty busy recruiting new Wardens and meeting with good King Cailan. Duncan said he would help after the Battle of Ostagar. Said there might be useful things at the peak, but he never had the chance.
What do you need from me?
I can pick my way through the tunnels at the base of Soldier's Peak, but the place, well, they say it's haunted.
Ooh.
And it'll be dangerous for certain. Will you think on it at least?
Your family's faith will be rewarded. I will help you.
1,000 blessings upon you, Warden. I'll mark down the location on your map. When you arrive, we'll pick our way through the tunnels together.
Sure, we can do that. And we got a new codex from that.
Ah, it's good to see you, my timely rescuer. Bodon Feddick, at your service once again. I saw your camp and remembered the kind offer that you made the last time we met. And is there anywhere safer for a poor merchant and his son to sleep? I think not. I'm perfectly willing to offer you a fine discount for the inconvenience of our presence. How does that sound? Good? Yes?
What are you selling exactly?
Anything, everything, but all of the finest quality. No cheap trinkets here. And my boy Sandal happens to be a bit of a hand with enchantments. Oh, yes. Sadly, it also makes us a target for bandits and the like. If there were spare hands to hire as guards, I would have done so long ago.
Have you been following us?
Following you? I'm not even certain where you're going, my friend. And quite frankly, it's none of my business. Trust me when I say that my encountering you here was serendipity and nothing more. I travel a lot, so I'm bound to meet everyone on the road eventually. If you prefer, I'll take my boy and be on my way. But regretfully, you're the safest spot on this road, without a doubt.
Let me see your wares, Bodan.
I'm sure you'll be pleased with the goods my boy and I have collected, and with your discount.
Let's see what he has. Ah, nice. So he got a health poultices, an injury kit, delirium potions. Ooh, we got a Tomb of Physical Technique and Tomb of Arcane Technique. So the physical technique is a manuscript of physical arts scribed by a master and rarely seen outside of the most prestigious milites and guilds. Careful study grants the reader access to additional rogue or warrior talents. So it's only for warrior and rogues, and this one is only for a mage. Ah, I see. I don't have enough money for it at the moment. Or maybe I do, because I think this is the discount that we have. It's normally it would be 22 gold, but for us it's only 3. That's nice. And then we have a proving helm, blood dragon plate. It's for a heavy helmet. Looks like it's pretty good. Sure, let's get it. And then we also have the gauntlets. There we go. And boots. I don't have enough for it. Let's see. Is there also the armor itself? I don't see it really. I can also some rings. Perhaps we could use that. Perhaps we could use this for Morrigan, because she has some cold abilities. Let's see what else he has. Oh, all of this is for free. Let's get it, why not? Oh, they're all gifts, I see. Perhaps we could give them then to our party members. That's a lot of free stuff. Ugly boots? Are these like the pranks and gifts that you can give them? I think so. There we go. I think that will be it for now.
Hello.
The boy's a bit simple, but he's rather good with enchantments. One of those tranquil fellas actually called him a... what was it now? A savant. I had no idea such a thing existed.
What enchantments does he do?
He can fold lyrium into almost any weapon or piece of armor.
Ooh.
But naturally, some of the more extravagant materials will take more lyrium than others. It's a process that some of the master smiths back in Orzammar will perform. But my boy here is just as adept at it. Isn't that right, boy?
Enchantment!
There you have it.
I would want some enchantments done.
Enchantment!
Ooh, I see. So we can put either of the stuff on it. Like to the side. So we have +2 dark spa and +2 damage versus the dark spa. And a chance to reduce movement speed. +1 fire damage and +2 electricity damage. Huh, perhaps we could do that. Let's see which one would be good. I like the sound of the electricity one. Let's try it, why not? Do we just accept like that? And let's see. Which sword would that be then? Was it stand perhaps? No. What was it called exactly? Let's see.
Enchantment? Enchantment!
The edge. Ah, so we have to place it. Ah, so you can put 2 in this one and then 1 in the Oath Keeper. Okay. So where would the sword be at then? Ah, here's the Oath Keeper. Let's see if it's better than ours. It has less damage, but a higher critical chance. Has less armor penetration. And a little less strength modifier, but it has +1 armor penetration. So it's actually more than the other one. And then 10% healing effects received. What about the edge? I don't see the edge here. Do I? Ah, it's here, but okay, I don't have enough dexterity for it. What about stand? No, none of us have enough for it. That's okay. Let's look at the armor that I bought then. I need more strength for that. Same with Alistair. What about Stan? Yeah. Okay, we can level up our armor and see if there's any better armor for us out there. Let's talk with Morrigan.
What do you wish of me?
I'd like to ask you something.
If you must.
How did you become a shape changer?
I was not born such. 'Tis a skill of Flemeth's, taught over many years in the wilds. The chastened have tales of we witches, saying that we assume the forms of creatures to watch them from hiding. When a child is alone and separate from his tribe, that is when we strike, dragging the young boy kicking and screaming to our lair to be devoured. A most amusing legend.
Your mother has been doing this for a long time then?
Changing her form, certainly. Devouring lost children, I cannot say. She has not done it in my experience, though in truth my lifespan is but a fraction of her own. Why do you ask? Is there something specific you wish to know?
Can you change into other human forms as well?
The form of an animal is different from my own. One may study the creature, learn to move as it does, think as it does. In time, this allows one to become as it is. I gain nothing by studying another human. I already am the same as they are. I learn nothing. So the answer is no, my human form is the only one I possess.
So, it sounds like you spend a lot of time as an animal?
There were nights when the wilds called to me, 'tis true. You look upon the world around you and you think you know it well. I have smelled it as a wolf, listened as a cat, prowled shadows that you never dreamed existed. But my life is as a human. I am under no illusions to the contrary.
What do other animals think of you when you are changed?
They do not shy away from me. To their senses, I believe I seem like any other of their species. As to what they think, I truly cannot say. Just as I am still human, no matter my form, they are still animals. Thus they cannot speak, even were I to ask.
Interesting. Can anyone become a shape changer?
Anyone with sufficient will, but the act of transformation is a magical one. 'Tis a spell and thus requires a mage's talents. If you had a notion to learn such a skill for yourself, sadly, you must remain disappointed.
I've never heard of magic like that before.
No? 'Tis not unheard of in the remote corners of the world. There are traditions of magic outside of the circle of magi, despite what those mages would have you believe. Some of these traditions are old, indeed, passed down as carefully guarded lore from one generation to the next. The zealots of the chantry would uproot all such practitioners if they could, but as luck have it, some still exist. My mother is such a one.
That's good. Such traditions need to be preserved.
I am surprised you think so. Still, 'tis a pleasant thing to hear.
That's all I want to ask.
Indeed. Have you an opinion on my abilities, then? Am I an unnatural abomination to be put to the torch?
That would just make you angry, I think.
No doubt it would. But enough of such talk. Let us proceed, lest the dust gather on us.
Let's talk with her more.
What do you wish of me?
Got something to ask.
If you must.
Did you grow up in the Kokari Wilds?
Why do you ask me such questions? I do not probe you for pointless information, do I?
You could if you wanted to.
Oh, what luck. What is it you asked? If I grew up in the wilds? A curious question. Where else would you picture me? For many years it was simply Flemeth and I. The wilds and its creatures were more real to me than Flemeth's tales of the world of man. In time I grew curious. I left the wilds to explore what lay beyond, never for long. Brief forays into a civilized wilderness.
But you kept going back to the wilds?
Would you not do the same? Your world is an unforgiving and cold place. The wilds I hail from is home to me, and I a natural denizen. For all that I had been taught, however, the truth of the civilized lands proved to be overwhelming. I was unfamiliar with so much. So confident and bold was I, yet there was much that Flemeth could never have prepared me for.
Were you hurt?
Was I hurt? What manner of simpering weakling do you take me for? Only once was I accused of being a witch of the wilds, and that by a chastened who happened to be travelling with a merchant caravan. He pointed and gasped and began shouting in his strange language, and most assumed he was casting some curse upon me. I acted the terrified girl, and naturally he was arrested.
That was quick thinking.
Men are always willing to believe two things about a woman. One, that she is weak, and two, that she finds him attractive. I played the weakling and battered my eyelashes at the captain of the guard. Child's play. The point being that I was able to move through human lands fairly easily. Whatever humans think a witch of the wild looks like, 'tis not I. Not that I did not have trouble. There are things about human society which have always puzzled me, such as the touching. Why all the touching for a simple greeting?
Fair enough. I have no idea. I'm not human.
Do not speak to me of trivialities. Your culture is not so entirely different. There were many nuances that Flemeth could never tell me of. When to look into another's eyes, how to eat at a table, How to bargain without offending, none of these things I knew. I still do not understand it all, truth be told, but then I gave up long ago any hope of doing so. When I returned to the wilds last, I swore to Flemeth that I had no intention of leaving again.
Well, I'm glad it worked out this way at least.
Yes? Let's ignore the entire Darkspawn threat and the presence of a simpleton as your only other Grey Warden ally, then. Not that I lack appreciation for the intent of your comment. Thank you. Well, let's get on with it before the ground opens up and swallows us, yes?
I think there's some more stuff
What do you wish
that
of
we
me?
can ask.
If you must.
Have you ever been hunted by the Chantry?
My mother has been hunted from time to time, yes, by Templar fools like Alistair, which should tell you how successful they generally were. Flemeth made a bit of a game of it, in fact. The Templars would come again, and she would look at me and smile and say that the fun was to begin once more.
You really had no trouble with them?
I am unsure. I was too young to understand, and perhaps 'twas bravado on Flemeth's part, or perhaps she was merely amused. I will never know. Flemeth would warn them, once. 'Twas a warning they inevitably failed to heed. And then the true game began. Often Flemeth would use me as bait, a little girl to scream and run and lure the Templars deeper into the wilds, into their doom.
Flemeth used you as bait?
'Twas a game, and I a young girl. If I didn't get to play, I would have been very upset. Thankfully, the wilds is a vast place. Once they found us, Flemeth would simply move us elsewhere, and we would be lost within the forest once again. I did not understand the danger we faced until I was much older. I had never heard of apostates or maleficarum.
What exactly is an apostate?
You do not know? The zealots use that word for any magic they do not control. The Chantry sees any mages not leashed to the circle of magi as apostates, and apostates could become maleficarum, evil mages that resort to blood magic and become demon-enslaved abominations. It may even be true. Still, those of us who prefer freedom see no reason to submit.
If I were a mage, I might think the same.
Thank you for small favours, then, at the very least. Enough of this talk. Let us return to the task at hand.
I think there's some more
What
stuff.
do you wish of me? If you must.
Is Flemeth really what she seems to be?
Well, that depends, does it not? What does she seem to be?
A powerful maleficar.
You mean, is she truly the Flemeth of legend and story? Tell me, how much do you know of the tale? The one that the chastened still tell of my mother, to frighten them into obedience.
I'm more interested in the truth.
I can relay what Flemeth once told me herself, and you can decide whether or not 'tis the truth, if you desire.
That sounds interesting.
As the tale is sung by the bards, there was a time when Flemeth was young and beautiful, a fair lass in a land of barbarian men, the desire of any who saw her.
Just how long ago is this?
Many centuries, before this land was even named Ferelden.
Ooh.
The tales say that Flemeth fell in love with Osen the bard, and fled the castle of her husband, the dreadlord Conabar, and that he swore vengeance for her infidelity. In truth, My mother claims that 'twas Osen who was her husband, and Conabar the jealous lord, who looked on from afar. Lord Conabar approached young Osen and offered him wealth and power in exchange for his lovely wife, and Osen agreed.
Ooh. So he sold his wife to another man?
The life of a bard is a poor one, and love fades in the wake of hunger. 'Twas Flemeth who suggested the arrangement. All would have been well had Lord Conabar kept his end of the bargain. But he was a foul man who bargained with coin he did not possess. Osen was led off to a field and slain, left for dead. Flemeth spoke to the spirits and learned of the deed, and swore revenge.
So she spoke to spirits? Or demons?
Spirits first, and 'twas they who slew Conabar. Flemeth did not turn to the demon until much later. Lord Conabar's allies chased Flemeth, you see, chased her to the wilds, and there she hid. There she found the demon, and he made her strong. The legends all speak of the great hero Cormac, he who defeated Flemeth and her great army when she invaded the lowlands centuries later. All lies.
Which she never invaded? Or he never defeated her?
The truth of the matter is that there was never an invasion. As Flemeth tells it, the Chastened never raised an army under her banner, and she never fought with any warrior named Cormac. Cormac led a brutal civil war against his own people, and later claimed it was to vanquish evil that had taken root amongst the lords. Thus, he was hailed a hero. Flemeth was only attached to the legend much later. Perhaps 'twas due to the great war with the Chastened that eventually came, but Mother claims not to know how it began.
How is it that Flemeth has survived for so long?
The demon within her has transformed her into something else. An abomination, perhaps some would say. I know not. I only know my mother is clever, and she is part of the wilds as it is part of her. But she is no immortal. She bleeds. A blade in her heart would kill her like any other, were it lucky enough to find her.
The legend tells of Flemeth having many daughters.
You ask if I have sisters. I have asked of this myself. The stories tell of many witches of the wilds after all, not just the one. And these tales existed long before I did. Flemeth refuses to speak of other daughters, if they existed. So, should I believe I am her first? I doubt that too.
Why would she refuse to speak of them?
The Chastened tell of a falling out between Flemeth and her daughters. They say that one day she hunted them all through the wilds and ate their hearts. It may be true. I have never seen another witch or heard of one. Perhaps one day Flemeth will eat my heart as well.
Aren't abominations usually insane horrors?
How often is this usually? Always? If not always, then when is it not true? There are more things in this world and the next than you or I could ever hope to understand. What Flemeth became is a mystery. I suspect, even to her.
Do you believe her version?
I do not believe everything that Flemeth claims. Oft it seems her bitterness has coloured her memories. But on the whole, yes, I believe this tale, if not all.
An interesting story, thank you.
Flemeth tells it with far more embellishment than I, but you are welcome. Dare I ask of your own mother? Few are abominations of legend, 'tis true, but I find myself curious nevertheless.
My mother died a long time ago.
Ah, then you have my sympathies for what it is worth. Which is very little, I am certain. It matters not. Let us move on.
Let's see if we can ask
What do you
more.
wish of me?
Here we go.
If you must.
Can you teach others to become shape changers?
I cannot teach you, no. But any other mages that cared to learn, yes, I could do that. Send whoever you wish my way, and I shall teach them what I can in the camp, provided they possess the will to even make the attempt.
Fair enough. Ooh, so we got a new specialization unlocked. That's nice.
What do you wish of me?
I'd like to discuss something personal.
We are in camp, so 'tis as good a time as any.
Ooh, why are you still here?
I am here because Flemeth commanded me to aid you. Why? Do you wish me to leave? I can do so if you prefer.
No, I don't want you to leave.
Then I assume our discussion ends here.
Ooh. I'm sorry.
What do you wish of me?
I'm guessing there's
If you
nothing
must.
else. Okay. Let's go talk then with Liliana. And we can also check up on the dog. Here we go.
Yes?
I'd like to talk.
Well, here I am.
Can you tell me more about this vision of yours?
I knew this would come up sooner or later. I don't know how to explain, but I had a dream. In it, there was an impenetrable darkness. It was so dense, so real. And there was a noise, a terrible, ungodly noise. I stood on a peak and watched as the darkness consumed everything. And when the storm swallowed the last of the sun's light, I fell, and the darkness drew me in.
What then?
When I woke, I went to the Chantry's gardens, as I always do. But that day, the rosebush in the corner had flowered. Everyone knew that bush was dead. It was grey and twisted and gnarled, the ugliest thing you ever saw. But there it was, a single beautiful rose. It was as though the Maker stretched out his hand to say, even in the midst of this darkness, there is hope and beauty. Have faith.
And this made you want to help me?
In my dream, I fell, or maybe I jumped. I'd do anything to stop the blight. I know that we can do it. There are so many good things in the Maker's world. How can I sit by while the blight devours everything?
I suppose I couldn't sit by either.
That is why you're a Grey Warden. Come, there's a blight to stop.
Ooh, we got +2 improve.
Yes,
I'd like to
Well-
talk.
here I am.
What was life like in the Chantry's cloister?
Quiet. It was a life suited for contemplation. In the cloister, away from the fuss and the flurry of the cities, I found peace. And in that stillness, I could hear the Maker. But it was not perfect. Some of my Chantry fellows were condescending. That is the nature of religious folk, I suppose.
Condescending? How so?
When I talked about my beliefs, that the Maker reveals himself in the beauty of his world, they treated me with disdain. They want to believe that he's gone, so that when he turns his gaze on them, it means they are special, chosen. He cannot possibly have love for all, the sick and the weary, the beggars and the fools.
What did you say to them?
What can I say to them? What they believe is what the Chantry says, and the Chantry is infallible, yes? Maybe I am wrong. But it is the Maker's place to decide if I am worthy, not men, not the Chantry. But there is work to be done, and I have talked enough for now. Yes? Well, here I am.
What would someone like you be doing in Lothering's chantry?
What is meant by someone like me?
They don't teach you how to fight in the cloister now, do they?
Did you think I was always a cloistered sister? The chantry provides succor and safe harbor to all who seek it. I chose to stay and become affirmed.
Affirmed?
We affirm our belief in the Maker, in Andraste and the chant, but other than that, there are no vows taken.
So your skills were learned before your time in the chantry?
I was a traveling minstrel in Orlais. Tales and songs were my life. I performed, and they rewarded me with applause and coin. And my skill in battle? Well, you pick up different skills when you travel, yes? Yes, of course. Let's move on.
Sure. Let's take a look at some of the codexes that we have here. So we got... Oh, we got the Archdemon. Did we read this yet? In darkness eternal they searched for those who had goaded them on until at last they found their prize, their god, their betrayer, the sleeping dragon Dumat. Their taint twisted even the false god, and the whisperer awoke at last in pain and horror and led them to wreak havoc upon all the nations of the world. The first blight. Frenadas 8-7. The false dragon gods of the Tevinter Imperium lie buried deep within the earth, where they have been imprisoned since the Maker cast them down. No one knows what it is that drives the Darkspawn in their relentless search for the sleeping old gods. Perhaps it is instinct, as moths will fly into torch flames. Perhaps there is some remnant of desire for vengeance upon the ones who goaded the Magisters to assault heaven. Whatever the reason, when Darkspawn find one of these ancient dragons, it is immediately afflicted by the taint. It awakens twisted and corrupted, and leads the Darkspawn in a full-scale invasion of the land. A blight. The blight only starts when there's an archdemon that awoke. We got a codex about a bear. No beast is more beloved by Dirfamen than the bear. When the world was new, Dirfamen gave one secret to each creature to keep. The foxes traded their secrets to Andruil for wings. The hares shouted theirs to the treetops. The birds sold theirs for gold and silver. Only the bears kept Durafan's gift deep within their dens. They slept the months away in the company of their secrets and nothing else. When Durfaman discovered what had been done with his gifts, he snatched the wings from the foxes, silenced the voices of the hares, and turned the birds into paupers. But the bears he honored for their steadfastness. Transcribes from a daily tale of 9-8 dragon. Normally it is almost unheard of bears to attack travelers. They are in fact so shy and so inactive during the day that most people never encounter a bear at all. However, should a bear be provoked, they are remarkably dangerous. The normally placid seeming creatures become enraged and can strike massive blows with their paws, capable of knocking a man off of his feet, like real life. So we have the genlogs, and then we have I think we read all of this already besides the emissaries. So the most intelligent of the alphas become gifted sorcerers with many abilities akin to blood magic. These are the emissaries, and they usually only appear during a blight. So there really is a blight going on right now. And then we also have the ogre. Towering over their darkspawn kin, the massive ogres are a rare sight on the battlefield. Traditionally, they only appear during a blight, but some records claim that ogres have been spotted in the deep roads hunting alone or in small groups. At least one report by the Grey Wardens claims that an ogre was spotted alone in the Kakari Wilds in 919 Dragon. Though it was weakened and easily dispatched, up to 100 of these creatures can accompany a darkspawn horde at any one time during a blight, often using their great strength to burst through fortifications and demolish the front lines of the opposing army. They use brute force to charge the enemies like the bulls, slam the ground with their fists to shake enemies off their feet, and hurl giant rocks into the face of oncoming foes. Melee can be difficult against a giant that snatches a warrior up in one hand, crushing the life out of him and beating him into oblivion with the other hand. The nimble can try to wiggle his way free, or an ally can attempt an array of stunning blows on an ogre to free the comrade in danger. Grey Warden's lore urges caution when slaying an ogre, unless it is unsure that they have received a major wound to the head or the heart. It is impossible that they are lying dormant and will regenerate to full health within a matter of minutes. During a blight, most Grey Wardens recommend burning all darkspawn to ashes, dead ogres in particular. Interesting, so even if you do damage to them, if you don't kill them, they can immediately just regenerate all of their health. Yikes. And then we have magic and religion. We have the chant of light, the blight. No matter their power, the triumphs, the mage lords of the winter were men and doomed to die. Then a voice whispered within their hearts, "Shall you surrender your power to time like the beast of the fields? You are the lords of the earth. Go forth to claim the empty throne of heavens and be gods." In secret they worked, magic upon magic, all their power and all their vanity. They turned against the veil, until at last it gave way. Above them a river of light, before them the throne of heaven waiting, beneath their feet the footprints of the Maker, and all around them echoed a vast silence. But when they took a single step towards the empty throne, a great voice cried out, shaking the very foundation of heaven and earth. "And so is the golden city blackened with each step you take in my hall. Marvel at perfection, for it is fleeting. You have brought sin to heaven and doom upon all the world." Finally were they cast down, for no mortal may walk bodily in the realm of dreams, bearing the mark of their crime, bodies so maimed and distorted that none should see them and know them for men. I believe we read this already. Yeah, I think so. So we have the Maker. There was no word for heaven or for earth, for sea or sky. All that existed was silence. Then the voice of the Maker rang out, the first word, and his word became all that might be. Dream, an idea, hope and fear, endless possibilities. And from it made his firstborn. And he said to them, "In my image I forgive you, I forge you. To you I give dominion over all that exists. By your will may all things be done." Then in the center of heaven he called forth a city with towers of gold, streets with music for cobblestone, and banners which flew without wind. There he dwelt, waiting to see the wonders his children would create. The children of the Maker gathered before his golden throne and sang hymns of praise unending, but their songs were the songs of the cobblestones. They shone with the golden light reflected from the Maker's throne. They held forth the banners that flew on their own. And the voice of the Maker shook the fates, saying, "In my image I have wrought my firstborn. You have been given dominion over all that exists. By your will all things are done, yet you do nothing. The realm I have given you is formless, ever-changing." And he knew he had wrought amiss, so the Maker turned from his firstborn and took from the fade a measure of its living flesh and placed it apart from the spirits, and spoke to it, saying, "Here I decree opposition in all things, for earth, sky, for winter, summer, for darkness, light. By my will alone imbalance sundered, and the world was giving new life. And no longer was it formless, ever-changing but held fast, immutable, with words for heaven and for earth, sea and sky. At last did the Maker from the living world make man, immutable as the substance of the earth, with souls made of dream and idea, hope and fear, endless possibilities. Then the Maker said, "To you, my second-born, I grant this gift. In your heart shall burn an unquestionable flame, all-consuming and never satisfied. For from the fate I crafted you, and to the fate you shall return, each night in dreams. You may always remember me." And then the Maker sealed the gates of the golden city, and there he dwelt, waiting to see the wonders his children would create. From Frenadice 5:1-8. So they're not sure when this was created. And then we also have the Imperial Chantry. There are those who would tell you that the Chantry is the same everywhere as it is here, that the divine is in Val Royeaux reigns supreme in the eyes of the Maker, and that this fact is unquestioned throughout Thedas. Do not believe it. The Maker's second commandment, magic must serve man, not rule over him, never held the same meaning within the ancient Tevinter Imperium as it did elsewhere. The Chantry there interpreted the rule as meaning that mages should never control the minds of other men, and that otherwise their magic should benefit the rulers of men as much as possible. When the clerics of the Tevinter altered the chant of light to reflect this interpretation of the commandment, the divine in Val Royeaux ordered the clerics to refer to the original chant. They refused, claiming corruption within Val Royeaux, an argument that grew until in 487 Towers, the Chantry in Tevinter elected its own legitimate and uncorrupted divine Valhau, who was not only male but also happened to be one of the most prominent members of the Tevinter Circle of the Magi. This black divine was revealed outside Tevinter, but his existence and offense to the Chantry in Val Royeaux. After 4 exalted marches to dislodge these rebels, all that the Chantry in Val Royeaux accomplished was to cement the separation. While most aspects of the Imperial Chantry's teaching are the same, prohibitions against magic have been weakened and male priests have become more prevalent. The Circle of Magi today rules Tevinter directly ever since the Archon Nomeran was elected in 734 Storm, directly from the ranks of the enchanters, to great pleasure from the public. He dispensed with old rules forbidding mages from taking part in politics, and within a century the true rulers within the various imperial houses. The mages took their places openly within the government. The Imperial Divine is now always drawn from the ranks of the first enchanters and operates as Divine and Grand Enchanter both. This is utterly heresy to any member of the Chantry outside of the Tevinter, a return to the days of the Magisters, which brought the blights down upon us. But it exists, and even though we have left the Tevinter Imperium to the mercies of the dread Quinari, still they have endured. Further confronting between the Black Divine and our called White Divine is inevitable. From Edicts of the Black Divine by Father David of Quirinus, 811 Blessed. So from this part alone, it looks like the Tevinters are kinda at a war with the Quinaris. And then we have the sacred ashes of Andraste. Only one person witnessed Matharath's betrayal, Havard the Aegis, a childhood friend of Matharath. He accompanied his chief to the meeting with the Tevinters, not realizing what was planned. He understood that Matharath was giving Andraste over to be executed. Havard, unwilling to draw swords against his friends and liege, placed himself between Andraste and the Tevinter soldiers. The Tevinter struck him down, and Matharath left him for dead. Gravely wounded, Havard made his way to the gates of Minrafus to stop the execution. When he reached it, the terrible deed was already done. The armies on the plains long since dispersed. Havard's cursing his weakness gathered the earthly remains of Andraste that had been left to the wind and rain and wept. When his fingers touched the pile of ash, his ears filled with song, and he saw before him a vision of Andraste, dressed in cloth made of starlight. She knelt at his side, saying, "The Maker shall never forget you, so long as I remember." The song faded, and the vision with it, and Havard was alone. But his wounds were healed. With new strength, Havard took up the ashes of Our Lady and bore them back to the land of the Alamari. Fearing that Mavra's supporters would defile them, Havard took the ashes of Andraste to a secluded place high in the mountains, and there he carved from the living rock an urn to hold them. Time passed, and the whereabouts of the urn faded from memory. Perhaps it was the Maker's will that only the most worthy should find his beloved final resting place. Now we have only the legends, such as that of the Chevalier Lofer, who quested to find the urn to save his dying daughter, and either found it in time to cure her or returned 100 years after her death. The ballads aren't less than certain on that point. From Vedas, Myths and Legends by Brother Genetivi. And then we only have Culture and History left, but I think I'll read up on that a bit later. And so we also have a few quests, which this is from the Blackstone Regulus. I think that I read this. And I read this as well, I believe. And we also got premium content. We got Soldier's Pass, Journey to Soldier's Pass, where a whereabout merchant awaits with a deal that may be just good to be true. Too good to be true. We got Soldier's Peak, which is from Levy. Levy offered to take you through the maze of tunnels that lead to the old Grey Warden base of Soldier's Peak. He wishes to uncover proof that his ancestors, Sophia Dryden, was the hero his family always thought she was. And then A King Confidence. Journey to Ben Lawrence lands. There are rumors that a fellow survivor of Ostagar has escaped the prisons of Ban Loren and is seeking the aid of the Grey Wardens. The Ban's lands lie in the northwest reaches of the Banern. The escaped prisoner has likely taken refuge in the deep woods of the estate. Perhaps we could do that. Let's see where on the map it is exactly. Soldier's Peak is up here. The Ben Lawrence land is here. And then you have like Callanhead, the Circle Tower, the Frostback Mountains, Soldier's Pass, Redcliffe Castle, and Redcliffe Village, Lothering, which where we were at, and then the Brazilian outskirts and Denerim. And Ostagar was right here, together with Flemish Huts and the Kokari Wild. Let's go to the dog, because I almost forgot that.
Oh, why you little...
What?
Your furry friend here took offence at me getting near his food. He snapped at me, look.
There's hardly any blood drawn, but still, he shouldn't have. He whines and hangs his head. No.
Sometimes I forget that he's a war dog. That'll teach me.
Can we perhaps interact with him more?
I once heard a really old legend about how the hound warriors in the days of the old tribes would feed their Mabari the flesh of the vanquished.
No.
Well, that's what I heard anyway. It would sometimes be human flesh. Oh, like you can tell the difference. For all you know, maybe you've already been fed something. Someone.
Aww. I would never feed you another human being.
It's not cannibalism if he's eating it, you know?
Let's see if there's more.
Look at what your fool dog placed in my pack.
He wags his tail.
A putrid, half-eaten hare is not something a woman wants to find in her unmentionables.
Why doesn't he share his food with me?
You are welcome to this if you really want it. The dirty mongrel can have this back. There. And tell him not to do it again.
You heard the lady?
I don't want it, you worthless fur
No.
bag.
I think you hurt his feelings.
Oh, he's just trying to be manipulative, I can tell. I do it too.
Ooh. Hello, Stan. Are they having a face-off? Let's watch them. Oh.
You are a true warrior and worthy of respect.
No. Malachi digs furiously in the ground at your feet. Trying to find a way through the earth, are we? He goes back to digging. Alright, have fun then. Malachite ignores you and keeps digging. That was sweet. He wags his tail happily. Let's pet him. He rolls around happily on his back. Aw. There we go. I think that's all we could do now then. Here. Why are they both kneeling?
What do you need?
There we go. Stun.
Yes. As you wish.
There we go. Okay, let's head out then and see what we can do first. I think I'll go to the village first. Who shall we bring? I think it's smart to bring Alistair because he knows the people there, I believe, or all Eamon at least. And then perhaps we could bring Liliana and Morgan.
Indeed.
There we go. And let's go here to Redcliffe Village. There we go, we made it.
Look, can we talk for a moment? I need to tell you something. I should probably have told you earlier.
What's on your mind?
Well, let's see. How do I tell you this? We're almost at Redcliffe. Did I say how I know Arl Eamon exactly?
I think you said he raised you.
I'm a bastard. My mother was a serving girl at Redcliffe Castle, and she died when I was born. Arl Eamon took me in and raised me before I was sent to the Chantry. The reason he did that was because, well, because my father was King Marek,
Oh.
which made Kaelin my half-brother,
Oh. Why did you wait to tell me this?
I would have told you, but it never really meant anything to me. I was inconvenient, a possible threat to Kaelin's rule, and so they kept me secret. I'd never talked about it to anyone. Everyone who knew either resented me for it or they coddled me. Even Duncan kept me out of the fighting because of it. I didn't want you to know as long as possible. I'm sorry.
I think I understand.
Oh, good. I'm glad. It's not like I got special treatment for it anyhow. Al Eamon eventually married a young woman from Orlais, despite all the problems it caused with the king so soon after the war. He loved her a great deal. Anyway, the new Arlessa resented the rumors which pegged me as the Arl's bastard. They weren't true, but of course they existed. The Arl didn't care, but she did. So off I was packed to the nearest monastery at age 10. Just as well. The Arlessa made sure the castle wasn't a home to me by that point. She despised me.
What an awful thing to do to a child.
Maybe. She felt threatened by my presence. I can see that now. I can't say I blame her. She wondered if the rumors were true herself, I bet. I remember I had an amulet with Andraste's holy symbol on it. The only thing I had of my mother's. I was so furious at being sent away, I tore it off and threw it at the wall, and it shattered. Stupid, stupid thing to do. The Owl came by the monastery a few times to see how I was, but I was stubborn. I hated it there and blamed him for everything. And eventually he just stopped coming.
You were young.
And raised by dogs. Or I may as well have been, the way I acted. But maybe all young bastards act like that, I don't know. All I know is that the Arl is a good man and well-loved by the people. He also was King Kaelin's uncle, so he has a personal motivation to see Loghain pay for what he did. So there you have it. Now can we move on? And I'll just pretend you still think I'm some nobody who was too lucky to die with the rest of the Grey Wardens.
And what does that make me?
Some nobody who was too lucky to die with the rest of the Grey Wardens. Welcome to the club.
So he's King Merrick's son? Or bastard son, I should say. Which technically makes him Kaelin's half-brother. So wouldn't that mean that he could take the throne if he wanted to? But it doesn't look like he wants to. There's someone here though, named Thomas.
I thought I saw travelers coming down the road, though I scarcely believed it. Have you come to help us?
What do you mean? Is there a problem?
So you don't know? Has nobody out there heard?
I've heard Al Eamon is sick. If that is what you mean?
He could be dead for all we know. Nobody's heard from the castle in days. We're under attack. Monsters come out of the castle every night and attack us until dawn. Everyone's been fighting and dying.
Apparently everyone seems to agree that a blight is the perfect time to start killing each other. Marvelous, really.
We've no army to defend us. No Arl and no king to send us help. So many are dead. And those left are terrified they're next.
Hold on, what is this evil that's attacking you?
I don't rightly know. I'm sorry, nobody does. I should take you to Ban Tegan. He's all that's holding us together. He'll want to see you.
Ban Tegan, Al Eamon's brother. He's here.
Yes. It's not far, if you'll come with me.
What is happening here exactly? So there's more going on than just the Arl being sick?
It's Thomas, yes? And who are these people with you? They are obviously not simple travelers.
No, my lord. They just arrived, and I thought you would want to see them.
Well done, Thomas. Greetings, friends. My name is Tegan, Ban of Rainersphere, brother to the Arl.
I remember you, Ban Tegan, though the last time we met, I was a lot younger and covered in mud.
Covered in mud? Alistair? It is you, isn't it? You're alive! This is wonderful news.
Still alive, yes. Though not for long if Tern Loghain has anything to say about it.
Indeed. Loghain would have us believe all Grey Wardens died along with my nephew, amongst other things.
Your nephew?
I refer to Cailan, of course. Our sister was Queen Rowan, King Merrick's wife and Cailan's mother, make her rest her soul.
So you are a Grey Warden as well. A pleasure to meet you. I wish it were under better circumstances. You're here to see my brother. Unfortunately, that might be a problem. Eamon is gravely ill. No one has heard from the castle in days. No guards patrol the walls, and no one has responded to my shouts. The attack started a few nights ago. Evil things surged from the castle. We drove them back, but many perished during the assault.
What evil things are you talking about?
Some call them the walking dead. Decomposing corpses, returning to life with a hunger for human flesh. They hit again the next night. Each night they come, with greater numbers. With Cailan dead and Loghain starting a war over the throne, no one responds to my urgent calls for help. I have a feeling tonight's assault will be the worst yet. Alistair, I hate to ask, but I desperately need the help of you and your friends.
It isn't just up to me. Though the Grey Wardens don't stand much chance against Loghain without Arl Eamon.
Of course we'll help.
How pointless to help these villagers fight an impossible battle. One would think we had enough to contend with elsewhere.
Thank you. Thank you. This means more to me than you can guess. Thomas, please tell Murdoch what transpired. Then return to your post.
Yes, my lord.
Now then, there is much to do before night falls. I put 2 men in charge of the defense outside. Murdoch, the village mayor, is outside the chantry. Sir Perth, one of Eamon's knights, is just up the cliff at the windmill, watching the castle. You may discuss with them the preparations for the coming battle.
I want to discuss the situation with you.
Of course.
You have some of all Eamon's knights here?
I have those few who returned from their quest. You know of this, yes?
Their search for the urn of sacred ashes?
Yes, I question Isolde's decision to send so many knights in search of this relic. But I am a practical man, whereas she is a woman of great faith. Sir Perth was one of the knights sent on this quest. Perhaps you should speak to him if you wish to learn more.
Why are you in the chantry with the villagers?
Sir Perth insists. He wants me to be with the villagers, so everyone he needs to protect is in one place. I don't mind, to be honest. The point of all this is to protect the villagers, and I can do that best here. This is the last line of defense, should things go amiss.
Do you need more men in here with you?
We could bring some men in to stand beside me, but I'd rather keep the monsters away from the villagers if possible.
What exactly are these things that attack the village?
I do not know. They seem to be walking corpses, men with rotting flesh that continue to attack even with the gravest injuries.
Undead, spirits possessing the dead. There could be several causes behind such a thing, none of them pleasant.
So what happens after this battle is over?
Hopefully we can find the source and stop it before it causes any more damage. With luck, we'll also find Eamon and be able to help him.
I should get back to work.
Very well. Luck be with you, my friend.
Ooh, Morrigan disapproves of this. Why? Does she not want to help the people?
I'm scared, Mother. When are the bad men coming?
Soon, darling. Don't worry. Everything will be all right.
I want to go home. Where's Father? Why can't we go home?
I already told you. Father is outside defending the village from the bad men. We must stay here and be brave. Can you do that?
I guess so.
No. I hope her father is still alive.
Let us pray. Blessed art thou who exists in the Maker's sight. Blessed art thou who seeks his forgiveness. Blessed art thou who seeks his return. Blessed is the prophetess, his daughter, sacrificed to the holy flame. May the chant reach the Maker's ears and tell him of our contrition.
Your parents would want that.
There are two conversations
We need
going
you
at
here
once.
to protect the rest of us. Yes?
I guess I can do that.
There's a good lad. In the morning, we'll look for your parents. In the morning.
Can you perhaps talk with any of these people?
Maker bless you for helping us, futile though it may be.
I'm not frightened. Everybody thinks I am, but I'm not.
You are of dwarven blood and a stranger amongst us, yet you defend a home that is not your own. We are grateful for that.
I cannot stand by while monsters attack the helpless.
Not many in these modern days would honestly say the same. You are a woman of worth, and the Maker will smile upon you. Allow me to introduce myself. I am revered Mother Hannah, head of this chantry, which for the moment is a place of refuge for these poor villagers.
How awful this must be for you all. Is this everyone who's left?
All those who cannot defend themselves, yes. They are terrified of tonight's attack, and I fear these walls will not keep them safe. What can I do to help with your task?
Just how safe is this chantry?
It is the sturdiest building in the village. The women, elderly, and children will stay here during the battle, while the militia and knights protect them. They set up a barricade outside the chantry to keep monsters from getting inside. If anything gets in, Ban Tegan is our only defense. Please, have mercy. Help these people. Do whatever you can.
I guess I could do this as a dwarf. I don't necessarily believe in the Maker, and I highly doubt that Morrigan believes in it as well. But I know that Liliana believes in it, and perhaps Alistair. So maybe we could do this for him, for them. I would like your blessing, Mother.
You would? That is, I mean, of course. I'd be happy to. Blessed art thou who exists in the Maker's sight. Blessed art
Liliana
thou who
wants
seeks
this.
his forgiveness. Blessed art thou who seeks his return. Blessed is the prophetess, his daughter, sacrificed to the holy flame. May the chant reach the Maker's ears and tell him of our contrition.
There we go. Can we perhaps talk more with Ben?
What do you need? There is not much daylight left.
Tell me more about yourself.
This is hardly the time to be discussing personal details, don't you think? We will have to fight for our lives very
Fair
shortly.
enough. Come on now, is knowing a little about you too much to ask?
I beg your pardon, my lady. Where are my manners? What would you like to know?
Are you a skilled warrior?
Skilled enough to know there are many far better than myself.
Why have you stayed? Why didn't you just leave?
After the first attack, I wanted to go for help, but I couldn't just leave these people. The Bannon gear up to battle Loghain, while Darkspawn loom to the south. Loghain won't send anyone, so Redcliffe is on its own.
Do you have any family yourself?
Oh, you mean, am I married? No, I've never had the pleasure. If I did, I'd be lucky to find a woman as lovely as yourself.
You don't know a thing about me.
If I may be so bold, what of you, my lady? Are you married?
No, I'm not.
I find that hard to believe. Surely that is a crime somewhere. But I am too bold, my lady. This is hardly the time for such banter. Please accept my apology.
Apology accepted.
I'm glad. What else would you like to know?
What will you do if Arl Eamon is dead?
I don't know. If Connor lives, he'll be the Arl and I'll need to help him with it. If he's... well, I don't want to think about that.
Perhaps we should get back to the matter at hand.
Good, then my secrets are still safe. I was worried for a moment there.
I'll see what I can do.
Very well. Luck be with you, my friend.
Let's see if there's more around here. There's another book that we can get. Ooh, the Fatus calendar. Perhaps we can learn more about that.
Good day.
Good day. Do you have anything to say?
You're a Grey Warden, right? Were you in Ostagar? In the Korkari Wilds? My husband and son went there to bring the chant of light to the chastened.
Ooh, yes.
But I haven't heard from them
Yes, I
since.
have. Are you Jeddah?
I am. You've heard of me?
Your husband and son are both dead.
I thought that might be the case. Thank you for telling me.
I have something here from your husband.
Oh? Oh, his lockbox. If you're bringing me this... Oh no, I'm sorry. Thank you so much for bringing this to me. It means a lot to... Maker's blessings upon you.
Oh, she lost both her son and husband. That's so sad.
I'm so scared, Father. What are we going to do?
Silence, girl. Do you want the children to hear you?
But night is coming. The monsters will return and we sit here and wait for them.
We have no choice. We must pray and hope for the Maker's compassion.
I just hope everything will be all right. So many have already died.
Night will come, and then it will all end. We must be brave.
The Blight comes again, and Ferelden is doomed. What are we to do?
We will take care of it, don't worry. We can talk with Caitlin.
Sorry, am I bothering you? I'll try to be more quiet.
Aww. Are you alright? Why are you crying?
Those things dragged my mother away. I don't know what happened to her, but I hear her screaming all the time. Everywhere.
How terrible. You poor thing. I wish there was something we could do to help.
And now my brother Bevan, he ran off. I don't know where he is. I'm so scared they got him too.
Why would he run off? Do you know?
He said something about saving Mother. He's just a little boy. He doesn't understand she's gone.
If he has foolishly run off, then he is no doubt dead. You should get used to that.
Morrigan.
Nice. Maybe you want to kick her in the head while you're at it.
Shall we comfort her with lies? If she is to face death, better she face it honestly.
I hope he didn't try to go to the castle. Oh, that would be awful.
Don't worry, I'll look for him.
You will? Thank you so much. Please find him.
Of course. Can you perhaps head out now? Maybe he's in the village still somewhere.
What is that smell? Fish? And something else. Oh, more fish.
Because we live at a lake. Or they live at a lake.
You know, we don't have the men we need. And their numbers just keep growing each night.
Well, sure, they take the dead and they, you know...
I don't want to think about that.
I guess this might be the last night after all. The king isn't coming. Nobody is.
So what can we do? Leave? Try to get out of the village?
And abandon everyone? No, we fight.
We've no other choice.
So morale is pretty low. Perhaps we can bring it up.
It's not just Redcliffe having trouble, is it? I've heard the news. These are dark times indeed.
Still no sign of them coming back from the castle, Murdoch.
Tell them to maintain watch. I don't want a surprise attack before the sun goes down.
Yes, sir. What should we do until then?
Perhaps we can talk with Murdoch?
So you're the Grey Warden, are you?
I didn't think they made women Grey Wardens.
He sounds a lot like Zaid from Mass Effect. Huh. Perhaps they're the same voice actor. I don't think Darkspawn care who kills them.
If you hadn't noticed, there aren't Darkspawn around these parts. Not yet, anyway. We aren't gonna turn aside anyone who wants to help, though. Don't take me for being an ingrate or nothing.
Well, we do want to help however we can. You can trust us.
Name's Murdoch, mayor of what's left of the village, providing we aren't all killed and hauled off to the castle tonight.
Have faith, good man. We will defeat this evil together.
I hope you're right. I've been trying to hold us together, but it isn't easy. Anyhow, you're here, and they tell me you're in charge.
How is morale?
Morale's about what you'd expect. These men aren't soldiers. They're villagers defending their homes, and they're frightened. It would help if we had decent equipment. There weren't enough swords in Owen's shop, and the men's armor is nearly falling off. I don't think we're in any shape to fight. We'll do our best, of course, but, well, I have my doubts. I just hope I'm alive tomorrow morning.
I have some questions.
Oh? Ask away.
Why have you been stationed here?
We're the last defenders of them folks in the Chantry. The women, elderly, and the children. They're the ones we need to protect. No matter what happens, we can't let them evil things in there. If they die, the village is done.
Tell me about what has happened here.
Don't rightly know. We heard the Arl was sick and getting worse, but after a while we heard nothing at all. A few folks went up to the castle to see what was going on. They couldn't get in. Nobody was there, not a soul. And then those horrid creatures attacked the village. They were everywhere, people dying. It was awful. Good thing Ban Tegan was here.
Do you know anything about Eamon's illness?
No. I know the Arlessa sent the knights out for a cure. You can ask Sir Perth about it. He was one of them.
Where can I get supplies?
If you want weapons and such, you'd go to the blacksmith, but there isn't much left there.
But there's nowhere to actually buy or sell things?
Commerce isn't exactly our biggest concern right now, but you might want to speak to Lloyd at the tavern. I wouldn't trust him, though.
I want to discuss something else.
All right.
What can I do to help?
We need what little armor and weapons we got repaired, and quickly, or half of us will be fighting without either. Owen's the only blacksmith who can do it, but the stubborn fool refuses to even talk. If we're to be ready for tonight, we'll need that crotchety bastard's help.
Why does Owen refuse to talk to you?
His daughter, Valena, is one of the Arlessa's maids, so he hasn't heard from her since this whole business started. He demanded we attack the castle, break down the gate, and force our way in. I said it was impossible, but he wouldn't listen. He's locked himself in the smithy now. I can't force him to do repairs. He said he'd rather die first.
Nobody else can do these repairs?
Not by nightfall, and not well enough that I'd be happy to test it in combat. If there were others, don't you think I'd ask them?
Is there anything else you need?
We could use some extra bodies. Having a veteran like Dwin in the militia would help a lot, but he flat out refuses.
Tell me about Dwin.
He's a trader, a dwarf, lives near the lake. Locked himself up in his home with some of his workers, he has. Says he doesn't need any of us. We could use somebody with his fighting experience, but he won't come out.
Carry on, then.
Right. Let's hope we see morning.
Oh, Liliana approved of that. Let's take a look around this village a bit. and see who's
There's one
where.
thing I do not understand, Alistair.
Just the one thing.
About you, perhaps. Why the deception over your parentage?
I'd figure you'd be the sort who knows all about deception.
I do. And what use the deception might have had ended when King Cailan perished, did it not?
Maybe. I guess I was sort of hoping that would go away.
The truth does not go away.
I didn't say it was a good plan.
Is there perhaps something here? There's a death fruit that we can have.
I shall do it.
There we go. There is something here. No? Okay. Can't go in there. Let's go back over this bridge then. And see if there's more here, perhaps. There we go. What about here? Anything we can interact with? There's a door there. Let's go there then. See who is in it. Here we go.
As you say.
The door is locked and looks like it has been recently repaired. Let's try... Let's just ask if anyone's there. Hello? Okay, perhaps we can knock? No response. Okay, let's try lockpick then. You failed to pick the lock. It is now hopelessly jammed. Can we break the lock? Oh, we can go in.
Wonderful. Intruders. I hope you have a good reason for breaking and entering into my home.
I apologize. I don't mean any harm.
Apology accepted. The name's Dwin. Pleased to meet you. Now get out.
Murdoch says he needs you for the militia.
So, Murdoch sending a dwarf to do his begging for him? Hoping I'll get all misty-eyed with thoughts of home? Look, I'll tell you the same thing I told him. I'm not risking my neck for this town.
Can't I change your mind?
I have to admit, you've a better chance than most. At least another dwarf is likely to have a few rocks to rub together between their ears. What do you have in mind, then? Let's hear it.
How about gold? I'll hire you to fight for the village.
Are you serious?
I feel like he doesn't like that. No, I just wanted to see what you do.
And why bring it up? Do you have something else in mind?
I'll put in a good word for you with Ban Tegan, or perhaps the Arl.
You might just be able to pull that off. Fine. I'll throw in with the militia. For now. You better be out there too when the sun goes down. I'm not fighting for a lost cause, you hear me?
Nice. We took care of that. So perhaps something in here that we can use? No, not in here. Also not this chest? Yeah. Okay. Let's go back out then. So we got Dwin. Now we only need to find Owen, I believe. A missing child? Yeah, we have to find Bevan and talk to Sir Pev and the stubborn blacksmith. So for Sir Pev and his knights are stationed near the windmill, okay. And then talk to the stubborn blacksmith. Owen, the blacksmith, is the only one who can repair the militia's equipment, but he's locked himself in the blacksmith and refuses to help. Murdoch wants you to go talk to Owen to see if you can help, if you can change his mind. I think we can do that. If we persuaded Dwindham, I think we will be able to persuade the blacksmith as well. And then we have a missing child. Find Bevan. Caitlin, a young woman who lives in Redcliffe, is afraid for her brother Bevan. Their mother was dragged off by the creatures from the castle, and now Bevan has run off. Caitlin doesn't know where he is, and she has failed to find him. You told Caitlin you would search for Bevan. Yeah, I think he should be somewhere, perhaps in this village, or maybe up here, perhaps near the windmill. But I think I'll continue this in the next episode. So I'm curious what will go down and what will happen exactly. So see you guys there. Bye.